Comrades, respected comrades and friends, ladies and gentlemen, let's revolutionize our discipline. When the commanders speak, you listen. Comrades, today it is 120 years, 53 days since that bandit Cecil Rhodes and his army murdered Nsingu, the commander of the Ngoni forces, for resisting the capitalist takeover of Chipeta area of our homeland. We do not know where the grave of Nsingu is. They do not teach us about that history. They do not tell us about the Ngoni army and how it gloriously and courageously fought. Today, 120 years later, we resurrect the same struggle that started in the Chipeta area, defending our homeland from the bandits of capitalism. Comrades, this struggle is not new. It is a continuation of the struggle for which 100,000 Ngonis perished. Today, comrades, we begin the struggle that started in the Chipeta area of our homeland 120 years ago. It was the struggle against capitalism. Cecil Rhodes wanted to take over our homeland because of minerals, and because of minerals, Nsingu was killed. Because of minerals, 10,000 Ngonis perished. Because of minerals, the old man Mpeze, the father to Nsingu, was humiliated, imprisoned, and died of depression. Let's look at the way it went, comrades. Our country was first colonized in 1891. Not by the British government, no. It was by an individual businessman called a foreign investor, a capitalist called Cecil John Rhodes. Colonized our country in 1891 and governed it until 1924, when he started making losses from the business of running Northern Rhodesia. Comrades, our people did not welcome Cecil Rhodes and say, Cecil Rhodes, come and take our land. They did not say, Cecil Rhodes, come and take our minerals. Our people resisted. The Ngoni people resisted. They refused to hand over to Cecil Rhodes their land for prospecting and mining of gold in the Chipeta area. In December 1897, Cecil Rhodes attacked the Ngonis with the troops from Kota Kota in Malawi, comprising of Sheikhs of Sikhs and India and the Africans. Cecil Rhodes' troops were armed with Maxim guns and 7-pounders as artillery. Our people did not have guns, but they did not surrender. The Ngonis had only assegais, short spears, which were developed by Shaka, whose range was 7 meters. They took on Cecil Rhodes' forces. Unfortunately, on the 4th of February 1898, the Ngoni capital was overrun by Cecil Rhodes. Nsingu was captured, court-martialed, executed the following day at dawn in front of his lieutenants. The old man Mpesen tried to go and hide in the hills around Feni. He was also captured later on by Cecil Rhodes troops, imprisoned, released later to die of depression. At that time, at the end of the war in 1898, the Ngoni had 12,000 heads of cattle. 12,000 heads of cattle. 2 years later, in 1900, only 1,250 remained. 10,750 of Ngoni cattle were stolen by Cecil Rhodes. Comrades, 12,000 head of cattle in 1900 was not a small number. It was a lot of wealth. The Ngonis could have built schools, could have built hospitals and other infrastructure needed for development. Cecil Rhodes did not only destroy that economy, he also killed 10,000 young Ngonis. He also killed Nsingu. He also killed the old man Mpesen. You see why I'm calling him a bandit? Yes. A bandit is not like a thief. A thief comes in your house, steals your TV at night and goes away. A bandit does not only steal from you, he also kills you. Cecil Rhodes killed Mpesen. Cecil Rhodes killed Nsingu. Cecil Rhodes killed 10,000 Ngonis, young Ngonis. Cecil Rhodes stole 10,750 heads of cattle from the Ngonis. Comrades, as if that was not enough, Cecil Rhodes took over the village of Kapatamoyo in 1904 and turned it into his headquarters for the colonization of northeastern Rhodesia. And that capital, he named it Fort Jenson, a village of our people. No compromise, nothing. The Ngonis never attacked Cecil Rhodes. All what they said is leave our land to ourselves. Nsingu said, it's either you kill us, but as long as we live, you never take our homeland. Today, the land for which 10,000 Ngonis perished, Nsingu died, Mpesen died, we are letting it being taken away. They take the land, they take the minerals. Imagine if Nsingu was to arise today. How are we going to answer for all that? How, comrades? How? You can see, comrades, that capitalism kills. It killed Nsingu, it killed Mpesen, it killed 10,000 Ngonis. Capitalism steals. It stole 10,750 Ngoni cattle. Capitalism humiliates. It humiliated Mpesen, it humiliated Nsingu. Capitalism subjugates. We were not colonized by a country. We were colonized by a company. We were colonized by a capitalist businessman. How can an individual colonize a whole people? Comrades, how can an individual colonize a whole people? Vatila chameleon achinja fekala nkanda imoyo. The capitalists that killed Nsingu are the same capitalists we're dealing with today. They are still humiliating our people, subjecting them to the highest levels of poverty. Today, Zambia is the third hungriest country in the world. With all the good soil, all the plenty of water, and a young citizenship. How is that possible? Do we want to go to church on Sunday and pray, God give us food? God has given us all that we need, comrades, to feed ourselves. It is an insult to go to God on Sunday to ask him for food. God has given us all that we need to live well. Why are we not living well? It's capitalism, comrades. Wait a minute. Why is Eastern Province today lumbered with a poverty level of 70%? They produce cotton, they produce sunflower, they produce groundnuts, they produce tobacco, they produce maize, but they have got poverty levels of 70% in Eastern Province. Why? Why? Comrades, a little bit, it's bandits, yes, but let's look at it a little bit, how these bandits are stealing. Let's look at cotton in Eastern Province. They are supplied, the peasant farmers are supplied with the seed and fertilizers. There's no negotiation on what the cost or the price of those inputs are. The generic companies decide on their own. The peasant farmers take the cotton, seed, they take the fertilizers, they plow their land on their own, and the land they own. They harvest on their own. The generic companies come and take the cotton at a price determined by themselves. The generic companies are making money. They are becoming rich. The peasant farmers are becoming poor. If your cotton was profitable, why should our peasant people, our peasants in Eastern Province become poor while the generic companies are becoming richer? Again, it shows what capitalism does. The poorest province of our homeland is Western Province, with 82.2% poverty levels. What does Western Province produce? Forget about rice, comrades, that small thing. They produce beef, they produce cattle. Let's look at the cattle trade in Western Province. In the mid-90s, Zambif, a capitalist organization, went to Western Province and bought an abattoir for near to nothing, which was built with workers' money under the Cold Storage Board of Zambia. Using the monopoly of that abattoir, they started buying cattle from the peasant farmers in Western Province for near to nothing. When they realized that the cattle stock was finishing, they opened another abattoir in Iteztezi. Today, Zambif is very rich. It was exporting beef everywhere from Western Province. The peasant farmers in Western Province have no cattle, and they are enduring poverty levels of 82.2%. If cattle was profitable and Zambia could make money from it, why are the poor peasants of Western Province so poor? Again, it shows that capitalism steals. Capitalism steals. Comrades, the struggle we are embarking on is not an easy one. Don't be cheated. It's not an easy one. And it's not about ideas in one's head, no. It's about the transformation of the lives of our people. People are not looking for ideas in my head. And again, it's not about me, it's not about Cosmos. This struggle is not for the two brothers. We are simply midwives to this process. What the working class cannot do for itself, don't be cheated that somebody else will do it for you. What you can't do for yourselves, nobody will do it for you. Nobody works for the worker. The worker works for herself or himself and then works for others. And don't be cheated that the capitalists will develop this country. What does capitalism bring here? The capitalists will cheat you that they bring capital. when you examine it, there's no capital that they bring. They simply bring workers' money that they have stolen somewhere else or stolen from here. Because all wealth in this world is produced only by one class. That's the working class. The planes you see, the nice cars you see, the big houses you see, they are a product of the working class. It's only the working class that can produce. Under the slave-owning system, it was only the slave who produced. Under the feudal system, it was only the peasants who produced. Under capitalism, it's only the working class that can produce. But look at the conditions under which those who produce live. Look at the conditions under which the slaves lived. They produced, but look at the conditions under which they lived. Look at the peasants under the feudal system under which they lived. They produced, but they lived under the worst conditions. The working class produces all wealth today, but it's enduring the highest poverty levels. Are we together? Yes. This is what socialism is about to address. This is what Nsingu resisted. This is what Nsingu fought. Again, it was not only in the Eastern Province or in the Chipeta area where there was resistance. Our people also resisted up north of the Chipeta area. I'm not saying Chipata, I'm saying Chipeta. The Bemba people under Chitimukulu Sampa also resisted. Chitimukulu Sampa made it very clear to his people, including Kisap chiefs Makasa and Mwamba, that the capitalist traders were not allowed in his territory. But he did not live long to wage that struggle. He was killed. He died. And he was replaced by a white Catholic bishop as Chitimukulu for 2 years.
Combination!
Comrades, let's listen to this. Mupezen, Nsingu, and the Ngonis of that time, they resisted all the attempts to bribe them. Cecil Rhodes was coming with all sorts of bribes. Nsingu, Mupezen, and those 10,000 Ngonis refused to take the bribes. How many of us sitting here today can walk away from money? How many of us today sitting here can walk away from Zimbongo, Chelete, Ndalama, Urupia? The same. Chitimukulu Sampa refused all the bribes they were sending them. They sent him all sorts of things, suits and so forth. He was just telling them, how many of us today here can walk away from wealth? The land which our ancestors, which Nsingu died for defending, today we are giving to all sorts of creatures.
Chinese.
What type of people are you? Or what type of people are we? Who can give away that which our ancestors died for? Look, they knew, Nsingu knew what type of force was facing. They only had their cigars, 7 meters range. Cecil Rhodes had maximum guns, 7-pounders. The firepower was incomparable. But our people did not surrender. They decided to fight. That struggle today starts. We are continuing that struggle against capitalism. And it is a struggle we wage without respite. The conditions under which Nsingu fought were much more difficult than the conditions we fight today. He did not have international support. There was no internationalism around that time to fight against capitalism. Today we have the whole world, the whole socialist world, the whole socialist movement with us. we are not politicians. I'm not a politician. My brother Cosmas is not a politician. You are not politicians. We are revolutionaries. We are revolutionaries. We are not seeking positions, we are seeking to transform our homelands. And our commitment is to that class, the class of Christ. Who was the father of Jesus? What job was Joseph? Is a carpenter a capitalist? No. Is a carpenter working class? Yes. Is a carpenter working class? Yes. So Christ was working class? Yes. So Christ belonged to the same working class you belong to? Yes. So you are the chosen class? Yes. Comrades, we will wage this struggle. We will wage it with the discipline. We will wage it with the highest levels of internationalism without ceasing to be patriots to this little homeland we have been deployed in. The struggle does not begin today. It began in the Chipeta area of our homeland. We will learn what Nsingu did, what propelled them, and that spirit of Nsingu will continue to guide us. Comrades, I don't want to say too much. We have a long way to go. We have a difficult struggle to wage. And we'll talk as we go. A lot needs to be said, and it will be said. For now, all I say is the spirit of Nsingu lives in us. The spirit of Nkrumah lives in us. The spirit of Cabral lives in us. The spirit of Lumumba lives in us. Fidel lives in us. Chavez lives in us. Ho Chi Minh lives in us. Mao lives in us. Samora lives in us. Joseph lives in us. Christian lives in us. Thank you, comrades.